I've previously described how to create custom classes that are libraries of methods that you can call from anywhere. For example, this MathHelper class is defined in a file named mathhelper.java, and it's public, and all of its methods are public. But you can also define classes that are nested within other classes, and those classes are only available to their parent classes. I'm going to start by refactoring or modifying this code. I'm going to take all the code within the main method and extract it to its own separate method. And I'm going to turn this class file into something I can create an instance of. I'll select all that code within the braces. Then I'll go to the menu and choose Refactor, Extract, Method. I'll name my new method Calculate, and I'll change the access modifier to Protected. That means that this class can be used by any other class in the same package. I'll click OK, and that creates the new method, but it also adds code to call the method from within the main method. Now, instead of calling it that way, I want to create an instance of the calculator class. So I'm going to place the cursor right here and create an instance of the class. I'll declare the data type calculator. I'll name it calc, and I'll instantiate it with new and the constructor method. Notice that there is no explicit constructor method defined in my code. But that's okay. The Java compiler creates a no-arguments constructor method for me. Then, to call the method, I'll say calc.calculate. And to make that possible, I'll take this static keyword and get rid of it. So now, instead of a static method, calculate is an instance method, a method that now must be called from an instance of the class, instead of from the class definition itself. So far, so good. I should now be able to run the code, and it should work exactly the same way it did before. I'll type in values, and I'll choose an operation, and everything's working. Now I'm ready for a nested class. I'm going to take this last bit of code, the getInput method, and wrap it inside its own class. I'll place the cursor above the method declaration, and I'll start with the keyword class. Then I'll name this InputHelper. This is a class, and so the initial character is uppercase. Now I'll take this method, and I'll cut and paste it, and place it inside the class declaration so it's a member of that class. Then, just as I did before, I'll get rid of the static keyword. GetInput is now an instance method of the InputHelper class. And again, this class is only available to the calculator class because that's where it's defined. Now I'll come back up here to where I'm calling the getInput method. Notice that that method is currently not accessible. So I'll place the cursor above those lines, and I'll create an instance of my InputHelper class. I'll name it Helper, and I'll instantiate it with new InputHelper. Then I'll add helper dot to the beginning of each call to get input. I'll go to my problems view and make sure that all of my syntax errors are gone, and I'll test again. And once again, everything's working just fine. So this code has now been redesigned or refactored. GetInput is now a method of the InputHelper class. It's marked as private, but it's declared in the same code file as the calculator class, so I can still call it from here. For Android developers especially, it's critical to understand nested classes. They're used a lot in the Android SDK. But for all Java developers, it's a great tool for building well-designed, easy-to-manage code.